The events of demon-slaying blades unfold in Japan's Taisho era. The main character is a teenager, Tanjiro Kamado, who lives on a mountain with his mother, 2 brothers, 2 sisters. He sets off to the city to sell charcoal and earn money. On the way, he encounters his younger sister, Nezuko, who comforts a crying child, and then he continues his journey. He returns late at night, passing by Saburo's house, where the grandfather, concerned for Tanjiro's safety, suggests he spend the night there, as demons come out to hunt at night. The next morning, Tanjiro returns home and discovers a horrific scene. His entire family has been killed. The only survivor is the younger sister, Nezuko. Tanjiro grabs her and runs to the city to save her. However, she starts to transform into a demon, and they fall off a cliff. In her demon form, she aggressively attacks Tanjiro, even increasing her body size. Tanjiro manages to reach her consciousness and stop her. Then, demon hunter Tomioka Gyu arrives and captures Nezuko, believing her to be responsible for Tanjiro's family's murder. Tanjiro explains that Nezuko couldn't have done it as she was injured, but her hands and lips weren't bloody, and he also sensed a strong scent of another demon. Tanjiro promises to find a way to turn Nezuko back into a human. Tomioka understands Tanjiro's feelings but warns him not to show mercy in fighting demons. He intends to decapitate Nezuko, but Tanjiro tries to stop him with all his might. Tanjiro combines his attacks with a stone, surprising Tomioka, but Nezuko, instead of trying to bite anyone, protects her brother. They fight with demons, but Nezuko is knocked out in her demon form. When Tanjiro regains consciousness, he sees Nezuko with a protective bamboo seal on her, and Tomioka tells Tanjiro to seek help from his teacher. In the end, they bury Tanjiro's family, strengthen a broken basket with bamboo, and place Nezuko inside it. They set off on their journey, and along the way, they meet Haga Nezuka, who decides to test if Tanjiro can become a member of the Demon Slayer Corps. They head to a mountain where an enemy awaits, instructing Tanjiro to descend before morning. The mountain turns out to be filled with traps, but Tanjiro manages to pass them and is accepted as a student by Youure Kodaki. Youure Kodaki begins Tanjiro's training, teaching him swordsmanship and proper breathing techniques, emphasizing on becoming one with water. After a year of training, Nezuko remains unconscious. To qualify for the final selection, Tanjiro must split a giant boulder. Despite months of trying, he fails. A masked man named Sabito challenges Tanjiro to a fight with wooden swords. Tanjiro loses repeatedly until a girl named Makomo reveals the technique of Tanjiro's breathing. He continues training and faces Sabito again, now able to see the threads that allow him to cut Sabito's mask. Afterwards, it's revealed that Tanjiro has finally split the boulder with that strike. Next, Sakanji Youure Kodaki appears and tells Tanjiro that he was initially against Tanjiro participating in the final selection because he didn't want him to die there. However, now he is confident that Tanjiro has all the chances to become a member of the Demon Slayer Corps. He treats Tanjiro to a delicious dinner and gives him a protective enchanted mask. In the morning, Tanjiro sets off to Mount Sagiri and asks Youure Kodaki to pass his regards to Makomo and Sabito. Youure Kodaki is greatly surprised as Tanjiro mentioned the names of his long-deceased disciples. Tanjiro then arrives at Mount Fujikosen, where the twins explain the conditions of the final selection, and he meets other participants. To pass the selection, they must all survive for 7 days on the mountain. With the help of the Nichiren blade given to him by Youure Kodaki, Tanjiro kills several demons and encounters a giant demon that devours one of the participants. The demon reveals that Youure Kodaki imprisoned him there and has trapped around 50 people over time, 13 of whom were Youure Kodaki's disciples. Seeing the mask on Tanjiro's head, the demon considers him the 14th. The participants attack the demon in rage, but Tanjiro loses focus, disrupting his breathing, and receives a blow. Regaining his composure, Tanjiro manages to reach the demon's head and beheads it with the water surface slash technique. Tanjiro feels the burden of the disappearing demon, but now the spirits of the 14 children have found peace. After the selections, only 5 participants survive. The twins explain the 10 ranks of demon hunters, and each participant is assigned a crow for communication and a sparrow for navigation. Each participant chooses a type of ore to forge their own unique Nichiren blade, which will take 10 to 15 days to craft. Tanjiro returns to Youure Kodaki's house and meets a now awake Nezuko and Youure Kodaki, who is overjoyed to see Tanjiro alive. Youure Kodaki speculates that Nezuko restores her strength through sleep, hence she doesn't need to kill anyone. After spending 15 days, Haga Nezuka arrives to deliver the finished Nichiren blade for Tanjiro, who is then called the Child of Sun by Youure Kodaki. Tanjiro's blade is covered in an unusual black color. Then, a crow arrives, ordering Tanjiro to hurry to the northwest, where young girls disappear every night. This will be Tanjiro's first task as a demon slayer. Tanjiro changes into his demon slayer uniform, ready to kill demons. Youure Kodaki then explains the properties of his mask and his new black Nichiren blade. He also gives Tanjiro a lightweight carrier made specifically for Nezuko. Tanjiro arrives in a city where he meets a victim, Kazumi, whose girlfriend was abducted by demons at night. Following the zombies' lead, Tanjiro arrives at the crime scene where he senses a demon's trail. They encounter a girl being kidnapped by a demon, but Tanjiro senses the demon's presence without being able to see it. He decides to thrust his blade where the scent is strongest and successfully rescues the girl from the demon's clutches. It turns out the demon has created 2 clones of himself. Tanjiro then learns about the first demon, Kyogai, who has existed for over 1,000 years and is the only one whose blood can turn humans into demons. It's also revealed that while Nezuko slept at Akodaki's house, he implanted the idea in her mind that all humans are a family. Thus she now protects all humans. To defeat Kyogai, Tanjiro decides to go underground while Zenitsu is left to protect people above. Tanjiro ends up in a swamp where demons immediately attack him. However, Tanjiro uses the 6th water-breathing form, Whirlpool, to cut through the demons. Meanwhile, Nezuko battles 3 demons on the surface, even receiving a cut on her face, but Tanjiro intervenes and severs the demon's arm. They interrogate the demon about Kyogai, but he refuses to speak and attacks them. Tanjiro then proceeds to slay the demon. Afterwards, a crow arrives and assigns them a new mission, to go to Tokyo where the demon who holds Nezuko's scent is hiding. Tanjiro and Nezuko arrive in a bustling city where they buy udon from a man who resembles Sabito. While eating, Tanjiro senses the same demon scent he felt when his family was killed and follows it, leading him to Kyogai. At that moment, the demon disguises himself as a human to distract attention but is swiftly exposed by Tanjiro and transformed back into a demon. The demon bites his girlfriend, but Tanjiro intervenes and pins him down. The demon then releases a hallucination-inducing scent towards a passerby, but Tanjiro manages to subdue him. Tanjiro is approached by Sabito and Makomo, appearing as ethereal figures, offering their assistance. Meanwhile, the demon summons his family from a car and attacks 3 drunken men in an alley. He then calls for a samurai demon named Susumaru, instructing her to bring the head of a demon slayer wearing Hanafuda earrings. Tanjiro and Nezuko, along with Zenitsu and Inosuke, head to the demon's doctor's house, where they find a secret passage and enter. Tomioka then explains how he and Nezuko managed to change their bodies, losing the need to consume humans for survival. He reveals that there's a way to turn demons back into humans, but they need to find it first. Tomioka says that Nezuko's case is exceptionally rare and asks Tanjiro to allow him to study her blood. He also requests Tanjiro to obtain blood from a few of his relatives. Meanwhile, Susumaru leaves as soon as Tamayo arrives. They track Tanjiro's scent and barge into Tomioka's house. Susumaru throws her Tamari, which severs Yushiro's head, and Tamayo slices Susumaru's body into pieces. It turns out that Tanjiro's blade can cut through the Tamari, allowing him to sever all of Susumaru's arms and defeat her. Tomioka then releases his blood in chance, causing Susumaru's entire body to be torn apart. It's revealed that only another demon capable of killing other demons is Muzan or his blood. After that, a crow appears, announcing that the next task is to the southeast. Along the way, Tanjiro encounters Nezuko, and they find themselves at Tanjiro's house, where he smells blood. They discover frightened children who tell them how their brother was abducted by monsters and dragged into a nearby house. They enter the house, but the children follow them. The monster separates them all, leaving Tanjiro alone with the girl. Meanwhile, Zenitsu confronts the demon in the house but is frightened and faints. However, he unexpectedly wakes up and, using the thunder-breathing technique, decapitates the demon. Afterwards, he believes the girl defeated the demon. Meanwhile, Inosuke encounters another demon, whom he defeats with the beast-breathing technique. Later, Tanjiro meets a girl named Kiyoshi, the older brother of the children he saved, and they treat his wounds. Kiyoshi explains how he saved them from a demon. Tanjiro then sets out to find the demon and discovers it is Kyogai, whom Gyomehime banished from the lower moons. Tanjiro uses the 9th form to defeat Kyogai and takes a blood sample to send to Tamayo through Yushiro. Tanjiro then finds the children and they head towards the exit. Meanwhile, Zenitsu encounters a demon named Yushiro and defeats him with the beast breathing. Later, Tanjiro meets with Zenitsu and Inosuke, and together they meet an elderly woman who welcomes them and provides them with a place to rest. They are introduced to a doctor, and Zenitsu becomes infatuated with the woman. A crow arrives and instructs them to head northeast to Youve, at the base of the mountain. There, they find Murata, a demon slayer whose master has been captured. Zenitsu, feeling cowardly, falls behind, while Tanjiro and Inosuke find Murata, who tells them about the conflict among the demon slayers. The leader, Kagayo Biyashiki, sends 2 Hashira, Uzui, and Shinobu to assist them. Subsequently, they are attacked by manipulated demon slayers, but Tanjiro notices the threats controlling them and cuts them. Next, Zenitsu and Inosuke, using their respective breathing techniques, find the demon who controls everyone. Zenitsu decides to stay and try to save the control people, while Tanjiro and Rengoku go after the demon. Along the way, they encounter more controlled demon slayers. Tanjiro devises a plan to neutralize them by throwing them onto tree branches, rendering them immobile. The demon decides to unleash his trump card, unleashing a headless giant on Tanjiro and Rengoku. They combine their attacks, slicing the giant into pieces. Tanjiro then decapitates the demon, who wanted freedom, and warns of another demon waiting ahead, one of the 12 lower moons. Meanwhile, Zenitsu encounters a spider demon who poisons him, and he has 30 minutes before he turns into a spider. Zenitsu reminisces about his training with his master, where he was struck by lightning while sitting in a tree. We learn that Zenitsu never had parents and always wanted to change and become a worthy person. In real time, Zenitsu loses consciousness and his alter ego activates. Using the first style of thunder breathing, he moves like lightning around the demons, decapitating them. However, he is paralyzed by the poison, but he tries to counteract its effects with his breathing technique. Seeing the lightning, Tanjiro decides to head to Zenitsu's location. However, the demon's father appears and attacks them. Meanwhile, at the mountain, Tamai arrives to help Zenitsu and administers the antidote. Tanjiro encounters the demon's father and tries to attack him, but the demon deflects his attacks. Tanjiro then decides to use the 10th form of water breathing. However, the demon grabs a tree and throws it at Tanjiro, knocking Rengoku hundreds of meters away. Zenitsu and Inosuke try to figure out how to defeat the powerful demon, and Zenitsu stabs the demon's hand with a sword, incapacitating him. The demon transforms, becoming even stronger, but his threads break, and he grabs Zenitsu by the head, crushing it. However, Tomioka arrives, cutting off the demon's hands and ultimately killing him. Rengoku decides to restrain Zenitsu, as he is seriously injured and could cause further harm to himself. Meanwhile, as Tanjiro regains consciousness, he encounters two demons, Rui and his sister, who threaten to kill him slowly for doubting their way of life. Tanjiro decides to attack Rui, but the demon's incredibly strong threads cut through his sword. It turns out the demon's body is even stronger than his threads. Rui creates a web to cut Tanjiro, but Nezuko intervenes, shielding him with her body. She then cuts through her sister demon and orders Tanjiro to kill all who remain on the mountain. Later, Rui offers to spare Tanjiro's life if he agrees to become his sister. He also reveals that he is the 5th of the 12 lower moons. Afterward, he uses his threads to capture Nezuko and suspends her above the ground on a lyre. He then activates his blood demon art, turning everything blood red. At this moment, Tanjiro recalls his father performing the dance of the fire god, Hinokami Kagero, and teaching him about the Hinokami breathing techniques. Determined, Tanjiro decides to utilize this breathing technique, and with it, he cuts through the red threads and approaches the demon. Meanwhile, Nezuko awakens and uses blood burst, unleashing her demonic blood, burning away the remaining threads and empowering Tanjiro's sword. Tanjiro decapitates the demon, but to his surprise, the demon survives because he managed to decapitate himself before Tanjiro did. Rui then attempts to cut Tanjiro's throat with his threads, but Tomioka Gyu intervenes, using the 11th form of water breathing to slice through Rui's webs and decapitate him. Meanwhile, Shinobu and Inosuke find the demon's sister and kill her with butterfly dance, caprice, a poison derived from wisteria. Afterwards, Shinobu encounters the demon's accomplice and prepares to kill her, but Tomioka steps in to protect her. He proposes that they grab the unconscious Nezuko and escape, while Tanjiro is confronted by another demon slayer, Kanao, who tries to kill Nezuko. Kanao hesitates and is ultimately stopped by Shinobu. Later, a crow arrives, instructing them to deliver Tanjiro and Nezuko to the Demon Slayer Corps headquarters. A cleanup squad, led by Youure Kodaki, arrives and rescues the surviving Demon Slayers. Next, Tangerine leads the language to the headquarters, where they are presented with all the hashers who will judge them and the punishment awaiting Amiaku. However, this remains pending because Tangerine asks to tell them the story of why he travels with the demon. He tells them that it is his sister, and she does not eat people, that she cannot harm anyone present. The hashers decide to wait for the master when his warriors are absent, and then render a verdict. Next, another Hashira appears. He grabs a box from below and decides to check Tangerine's words. However, he pierces his nose with a sword tied to Tangerine. He jerks from his place and hits his head against ours, agreeing from which they both fall. After that, the master arrives, all bowing before him. Then each Hashira begins to express their opinion, but almost all vote for Tangerine's punishment. This prompts a small one in the box to suggest reading a letter from the fool in which he asks for Tangerine to be allowed to travel together with them from the bottom up. And if the language kills or eats a person, then the lesson is over with the kites, and Tangerine argues with his stomach. Also, the box told about Tangerine meeting the Kibutsu Jam Yuzen. Next, another Hashira suggests checking from below. He moves the box from below to the shadow, makes it useful on the hand, and also pierces the box several times so that it does not come out. And Zuko emerges from the box. At this moment, Tangerine manages to break the ropes on his hands and rush to the house. Dolina shows memories on the tongue. after which she turns away from the blood, restraining herself. The box also suggests through the tongue a task they need to kill all 12 demons of the moon, after which they will be recognized by all Hashiras. Additionally, Rhino's tongue is taken to Shinobu's place. However, Tangerine returns to strike the beggar once again. However, he is hit by a stone thrown by Youve. The box is asked to convey gratitude to Lady Toma's estate. They meet Sarai, Kanal, and Zenitsu, whose hands and feet have shrunk due to partial transformation into a spider. They also find a sock that damaged its throat. Tangerine releases it from the box, and the bug can now live in this estate. Next, we are shown a meeting of the Hashiras. Both boxes report that the number of incidents with demons has increased significantly. They discuss newcomers and talk about Tangerine. In the box, it is understood that Muzan has been trying harder lately to get rid of all demon hunters. Then he thanks everyone for their success, glad that the strongest team is back together. Namely, it's Tengen, Kenjiro, Ringo, Kuka, Cheshu, Novu, Mitsuri, Kan, Raji, and Chireda. They are grateful. Then we are shown Rengoku, who is sent on a mission, most likely related to one of the demons of the 12 moons. After the hospital, the surviving Murata comes. He tells the guys about what happened at the Hashira meeting, and that he was questioned there. Shinobu appears, offering to start their restorative training. Socks and Tangerine start training. At first, they restore body flexibility, then reaction, and with the help of Salo Chiksu Kanal, they restore the remaining body functions. Zenitsu and Socks stop attending training because they lose without a setting there, and Nar tries to understand how to defeat Kanal. Girls tell him the secret that to maintain full concentration of breath, you need to do it all day, then this ability has a very strong effect. Girls help Tangerine again and bring him pumpkins to train on them. He needs to breathe through the nose. After 15 days, he makes some progress in breathing exercises. He meets Shinobu, who tells him about her dream. She wants to find a way to kill demons and befriend them, so she invited him and Ents to her estate. After Tangerine successfully bursts the pumpkin, he moves to a new level where he needs to burst a giant pumpkin. Meanwhile, Zenitsu and Socks go to Shinobu to learn about Tangerine's training. Shinobu motivates them, and then Tangerine tells them about his training, and they begin to work diligently. Then, Hogana Zuko appears and tries to attack Tangerine for breaking his sword. After that, Zenitsu and Socks receive their new blades and start making notches on them, impressing the training master. The training pays off. Tangerine's speed increases significantly, and he manages to defeat Seilachka Kanal. Shinobu acknowledges that Tangerine is already healthy and ready for the task. Additionally, Tangerine tries to learn from her about the flame-breathing technique, but she sends him to Kronga for help. Next, we see him on a train, and then events from several months ago are shown, where Kibutsu Jamyuzen summoned 6 lower demons of the moon to dissolve them and kill them one by one. Meanwhile, Crow gives Tangerine and the others a new task to solve the problem of people disappearing on the endless train. They are to join Ringo-oku, recommended by Shinobu for this task. She also told the cleaners about Tangerine's flame breathing. Dolly helps Kanal listen to his heart. After that, Tangerine, Zenitsu, and Socks together destroy the giant pumpkins. Later, there's a conversation between Tangerine and the small one where Tangerine thanks him for standing up for him. And then they set off on their mission. They find the train, and Socks decides to attack it, leading to a police chase. The train starts moving, and they jump into it, where they encounter Heron Goku, the very demon. End of Season 1.